Hello everybody and welcome to Soundscape Creation, week 3 sound mixing. This is the really exciting part. So we got through our sound design, we made our goals of what the soundscape should be for. And this is going to be a little bit of a different kind of mix. So if you join us for like the audio podcasting or other mixing classes in the past, it would be more of a kind of a realism in terms of what the mixing approach was. Now we're going to start to look at a little bit of some creative aspects of how we can mix things and playing around with stuff and effects and and pushing things a little bit out of the realm of the ordinary into maybe the extraordinary or the bizarre or the unique or the creative realms and playing with this kind of concept. So I was inspired initially because there's some sound effects that I heard, and it was about the abandoned industrial warehouse. And I was like, well, what do we hear, or what did that warehouse hear in the past? So kind of like that, how can we tell that story through this kind of a soundscape design of what that industrial warehouse may have heard or what it had lived through in the past? And that's kind of where we are now, and it's evolving, and I think that's really neat. So think about, this could be a perfect accompaniment to an audio podcast, a gallery exhibit, perhaps of photos of an industrial warehouse, and trying to tell this story through sound, right? Like just building it into that extra element of where things can go. So just want to thank all our partners in this project for making this happen. We have the Canada Council for the Arts. Then we have our library partners, the Blue Mountains Public Library, Collingwood Public Library, Saugee Beach Public Library. So today we'll be using ProTools. We'll be going through the sound mixing, adding some effects and a master output. How do we bounce? And it sounds like there's not a lot, but it takes up a bit of time, and we're creating this about 3-minute soundscape. So we'll move along, and the good thing is that you can rewatch this at any time once we're done. So you can rewatch and try these things out yourself. So again, the Pro Tools first is a totally free application, a piece of software that's Mac and Windows based. You just need to go into avid.com, sign up for the free account, and then you can use Pro Tools first, and that's the free version. On the other hand, you can also then access the Pro Tools, the system. The MacBook Pro will be available if you're a member of the Blue Mountains Public Library. You can do your work directly at the library through a portable sound recording studio that we've established there. So that'll be back in action soon once things are reopened. So let's get started. Let's have a look at what we did here. So in terms of the tracks, we had a bit of some ambient tracks here. We have our industrial tracks right around there. We have our piano, and we went all the way down to some low drones and things like this. So what I'm going to do is, so just to kind of recap, we have the, solo, S is to solo. And what I'm going to do is, let's look at just the industrial tones. And I'm just going to solo those, and you'll be able to hear these as well. And we're just going to hear what these sound like. So it's pretty intense. So what I'm going to do now, what I would like to recommend is I'm just going to go here to track. I'm going to go new and create a new stereo. And I'm going to hit master fader and say create. And that master fader will let me see, kind of where the volume is in terms of the, on the faders here. You'll see it's right here. And we'll kind of see how loud we're going. You can see we're getting pretty loud on the levels there. So overall, I'm going to bring these down, and I'm just going to do these as general overall. So by clicking on the track and opening the side area right here, so let's zoom in here. There's a little side button here, show hide it's called, and then you can add more. So mute, and then also the pans left and right. So right now they're pan left and right, and that's fine because they're a stereo source. I'm going to just go on this, and I'm going to lower these because they're just full blast right now. So we're going to make a little blend of them. So about -14, I'm going to recommend to start. I'm just kind of guessing a bit what I think will make a nice blend. And by doing these kinds of overall, so here I'm just going to hit oops, Shift to select all of them. Click and Shift, and I'm just gonna, that way it just levels all of them. So here as well, I'm gonna open up that volume, Shift, click, and -14. So let's give it a listen now. So let's click on the top here, press the space bar to play back. So you can see, like, what's really fun is that, you know, mixing isn't necessarily all this fader work, because that's the whole point of having the computer. So I can take that track, I can just level the whole track and say, hey, that's pretty good. And I like that blend now. I think that's a pretty nice ambience track of the 3 industrial segments that we chose. And now we're gonna start layering in some of the music. So I'm gonna just keep adding, soloing it track by track and playing with that. But what I wanna do first is, we're just going to go to these the piano pieces here and just have like kind of a listen of what it's like. So I'm just going to unsolo the industrial tracks, and I'm just going to hide those menus again where they were. Okay. So that's fine. But now what I want to do is, again, we're going to make this a bit quieter. So I'm just going to go Shift, click like that. I'm going to make these about -10. Same with this one here. We just got all this piano stuff happening, which is kind of fun. -10. Maybe even more. Let's go a little bit more aggressive. We'll go -20. Why not? Let's see. We want them really in the background. So again, think of like, you know, 0 is unaffected, the track. So it's not like the audio levels where 0 is like the maximum, it's distorted. 0 is 0 on the fader. Like, so you haven't increased any gain, you haven't decreased it. So 0 the way it came in. So by going -20 decibels, we're going 20 decibels quieter than when it was recorded. So that makes it a lot quieter. -50 becomes really, really quiet, and then you can go almost to, you can go to infinity to negate it totally, so it's nothing. And then you can go up +12, and that could make it distorted because then you're going too loud, right? So just those are those kind of ranges of what we're looking for. So that's that piano, and then let's get a piano here, and -20 as well. Okay, and let's just see what these kind of look like together. Okay, so that's fine. Now what I'm going to do is, let's play with the piano. Kind of, we'll have some of it on the left and some of it on the right, and some of it kind of in between. Okay, so that's really cool. Now let's add some reverb. So I'm just going to go to the deverb here, and let's listen to it. Okay, and we'll do the same for this one. We'll do a reverb, deverb stereo. Just going to click on that. Do you see how all of a sudden now we're getting into a really cool by adding that reverb, it makes it it quiets it down a bit, but it also makes it really distant sounding, and I like that. So it's quite haunting to hear something like that. So that's sounding nice to me. So let's do the same over here, and maybe we'll even do some more delay. Okay, so now let's listen to it with that industrial stuff too. So now we're going to solo, so we have like the first 7 tracks there. To me, that's really cool because it's pretty haunting. It's, you know, you just hear that piano a bit. So I'm just gonna raise it just a touch, I think, just to get it a little bit louder there. So we'll just go to like minus, probably that minus 16. This one is about minus 14, I think I saw it. Minus 12. Let's try that. So that's mainly on the right. So now we got this next thing here, and we have like a train. So I'm just gonna lower that right here and just say, okay, let's make it really distant. And let's put it all on the left. And let's just move up to that train area. Okay, and let's get that down again. So just click on the volume and we're gonna go minus 35. It's really loud still. And now I'm just gonna move that train a little bit sooner because I think I'd like to hear that a bit sooner. Okay, let's get it even sooner. I think that could really come in there sooner. So you can see I'm just panning things where I want them. So just there's two left and right, so I can just make trains go more on the left, more on the right. So here we go, we're gonna have another train. So we're just gonna make this one a little bit more on the right side. Steam train, this boxcar element here coming in. I'm just gonna, again, move it a bit closer. Let's lower it down to like minus 24. Let's see what that sounds like. And we're gonna use little fades in here. So you can see how quick we can, again, we don't need to do all this kind in the manually when we can just do quick fades like that. So that's really cool. I got like the music's on the left, and then I got the train a little bit on the right, like on the distance. And what I'll do too is let's go a little bit quieter with that train again. I just want it really subtle. So that's cool. Okay, now let's get to the next train. Again, about minus 24 or so. And I'm just going to go back here to the mixer. Train number 2. And yeah, that one's a little bit more on the right side there. And train 3, let's play again a little bit more on the left. So I'm just kind of rotating it around. So it's getting this idea of, you know, things coming around different areas. So I'm going to lower that a bit because it's getting a little bit loud, that train, but that's cool. Okay, and now here we got some horses, and we're going to just, again, let's play with that a bit in terms of, so I'm going to hit shift, and we're going to, again, lower those down, and let's give that a listen. So that's cool. So we're just getting those down a bit there too. And then we got another horse set down here, the stagecoach. And I'll bring that in a bit sooner, let's see. And in that one we can, let's play the horses on the right and maybe the stagecoach a bit on the left. Okay, I'm just going to lower that down a little bit more. That's nice. Okay, so now we got some crowds. Again, I'm just going to bring these down a little bit, just get some rough levels in here. Not really hearing the crowd, so let's see if we can hear it more. That's kind of fun. Okay, and then let's see the next crowd here. Just kind of going track by track here. Okay, and so let's play with that crowd. We'll maybe put a little bit more on the left. And let's get some really intense roto speaker. Let's see what that does. Okay, so what I'm going to do is just, we're just going to hear that now. So I'm just going to undo the solos here. We'll just hear the crowd too, and we'll just see what this effect does, this roto speaker. So that's kind of cool. Let's put a little bit of reverb on it too. So these are those cool things where we can really like play with, it's kind of chopping it up, it's giving us a bit of a delay, and it's just adding this real essence of eeriness. That's pretty cool. Okay, let's put a little bit of reverb on that regular crowd too, if you will. Okay, so that's pretty cool. Okay, so let's go to the next one. I'm going to solo this in here. Just the town light. We'll make that really, really, really background. Okay, so that's cool. And now the bell here, we're going to, let's practice now. We're going to do a little bit of a touch, just a little bit of a mix on that. So I'm going to go over the bell here, and instead of read, I'm going to go to touch. And now the fader becomes active as I see the scene playing. So now I can actually affect the bells ringing and change the levels as I listen to it. So let's give that a try. So it's pretty loud, so we'll start a bit quieter. And you can see I just faded out there. Yeah, sorry, I just apologize. I got my my bird here just doing all the sound effects with me. Um, but yeah, okay. So now we're gonna just put these drones in here a little bit. Um, so again, we'll keep them really quiet. But minus 34, 38, 28. That's pretty cool. Okay, and we'll add this next one in here. And we'll just solo in these other ones here. And just clicking on them, I'm just going to drag them down a bit, minus 20-ish or so. And we'll just kind of see what they play like in the overall scope here. Minus 22. And then we'll kind of make a determination of, how much do we like these two. So those I'm going to lower down a bit more. I think they're really aggressive in terms of what they're doing. So we're gonna really like kind of bury them there. So they're just a real thin layer. And let's play with that school bell a bit too. Let's put some sort of a interesting effect on that as well. Um, let's try this pitch shifter. Let's see what that does. I'm just going to try another one there. That wasn't doing too much for me. So let's just try, let's see what else we can do here. Let's try the chorus. Oh, we don't have that one. Okay, let's hear dynamics. Let's try frequency. Oh, some errors. There we go. Let's try the lo-fi. So that's kind of cool. So, and then let's get a little bit of that, some more reverb here. Oops, wrong one here. Reverb or deverb, that's the one we want. Cool. Okay, so that's pretty cool. So we remember, so we have the touch here. So that just lets me like either, you know, if I can use touch or I can use also latch, and that just lets me hold it to a certain level. So that's the difference between those two. And that basically is just engaging our faders. So that those faders can then, you can move them up or down with your mouse by using touch. And then you can also do the pans. So we can move things around. So let's look at how we can do like a bit of the bells ringing. We'll do a touch and we'll play with the fader here of how that works on that zone. So let's give that a whirl. Perfect. So that you can see how those pans are moving left to right just by the touch, and I'm able to just spin those, and that's how that's working. Okay, so now we have everything soloed. So we're gonna just unsolo everything by just clicking on the S's. We're just gonna get rid of them, and you can see by working, you know, piece by piece, layer by layer, it's not that overwhelming to mix. You know, how many tracks do we have here? We have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 21 tracks. So that's pretty cool. You know what, this complexity could get really overwhelming. So you know, this way we can really have a good idea of you know, where we're at with this. I'm just going to zoom in here. So let's give this a listen. We want this to stay kind of in this orange zone right here, and not to really hit into this the top red zone here. So we're kind of a minus 6 peak, if you will. So we don't want anything, so you can kind of see it goes from like green to orange and it goes into red. So we just want to stay under that red line here, like right here. And that gives us a good quality thing, overall sound. And we don't want this to go red. That means we're clipping. And that's a good way to listen to it. So let's have a listen back and see how everything is. I'm just going to go to the beginning here. So simply by, you know, I'm going to just click the top cursor here and just say, hey, just start at the beginning. Here we go. That's awesome. So I'm really happy with where that's gone, and I hope you guys were able to hear that. And if and when you rewatch this, I definitely encourage you to rewatch it if you're not doing it with a on a laptop or something with stereo speakers. If you have headphones, I was just monitoring it, and the feed out is giving me that same stereo effect that I'm getting here in the studio. So you can really hear the left and right. If you have a pair of stereo headphones, you'll be able to hear that because we're getting that out. That's what I was setting up today to make sure that we can get that real accurate stereo output from this Pro Tools session to you at home. So you definitely can. I'm hearing those nuances left and right. Now our levels are pretty nice. They're for ambience they're nice and pretty reasonable. About minus 10-ish there or so I'm seeing, and that's good. So that's a pretty good solid soundscape level. It would work well. You can imagine this in the background, playing in a again a gallery exhibit perhaps of an industrial photography or painting, or something themed in this manner. Like maybe saw this great exhibit. It was the Industrial Revolution exhibit and art at the Art Gallery of Ontario. So that was really cool to see that kind of blend of elements. So let's just go. Let's just look here then in terms of what we're doing. So we just want to be able to save. Command S save, and then one of the last things I like to do is that tone fades out, and I would also just make sure that the last couple tracks here would fade out at the end. So we kind of want this to end, somewhat together as it started. Is I think a great idea. So we'll just kind of blend it so that it's done here somewhere. I'm just dragging these to close them off, and putting in some little fades here for like the town and this eerie ambience. That way we get like a nice kind of end here. So let's just listen to the end part, see what that's like. Cool. So that's a really nice ending, in my opinion. I think that kind of. So again, I'm just putting fades in there, dragging things so they, if you see the tracks, I'm just kind of scrolling down. They kind of end at the same end point, and again, I don't want it to be that precise that it just kind of ends all smoothly. It came in as layers. It should kind of come out as layers, and I like that where we start to hear less piano kind of ends, and we have a little bit of ambience continuing, and I think that works well for it. So that's quite a nice. Mix there that we put together, and I think we're capturing that eeriness and that idea of what we originally wanted to do. And remember, the design list was to create this industrial background, tones that are musical nature, old piano, tracks playing, sounds of steam trains, horses going by, city sounds with small town and nature, bells ringing, perhaps church or fire hall, some crowds talking, people walking. So we hear a little bit of that, and I think the horses actually worked even better than I thought. So that's always nice when things kind of come out a little bit more in the soundscape design than originally planned. So that's a really nice thing. Okay, so then the last step we need to do is we need to do what's called bouncing. So we've saved it. So I'm going to go over here, File, Bounce to, Disk, and here's our options. So our output is our 1 and 2 stereo. So that's how you guys are hearing it with a stereo output. And you can do a multiple mono. So just a little bit on what that means. So multiple mono means you're creating a left and a right. And that's good for editing. So you might want to do a multiple mono where you take this soundscape and then you put it into something and you have a left and right. So you can specifically know that track 1 is left, track 2 is right, and you have 2 separate audio files. But typically, when you give somebody a sound file, and like files that we listen to, they're already stereo interleaved. So that means it's one track that has this left and right mixed together. And it's one track that's stereo. and then it comes back out as stereo. So you can see some of the tracks in our sequence here, in our timeline here. They're stereo and some are mono. And that's because of the nature of how whether they're a mono or if they're an interleave stereo. So I recommend, depending on what you need to do, if you're going to do some editing with this, let's say the soundscape is going to, you're going to do some editing with it or put some photos or pictures to it, then I would do the multiple mono, and you get a left and right, and it's great for editing and working with it in editing software like DaVinci Resolve. The interleaved will work well as well. And that's, again, it's just going to come in as a stereo track, and that works well too. So, for the purposes of this demo, I'm going to just do, let's actually do both, and I'll show you that. So Soundscape demo, and we'll call this Soundscape demo, and we'll call this multiple mono. And I'm just going to choose where we want it to go. So it's going to go Soundscape, bounce files. That's fine. That's where we want it. So I'm going to say, okay, open. And then I'm going to hit bounce. It says import after bounce, but I like to just listen to it after. So I'm just going to hit bounce. Here we go. And it's about 10 times the speed of it. So 4-minute track will take about 40 seconds, I guess. Not even. There we go. So that's it. That's bounced. And that's the good thing. It takes really not a long time. And so then at the same time, we can go right back. And then instead of multiple mono, I can simply say, let's do the interleaved. And that way I can show you guys the difference between it. And you can also do an MP3 if you want to have a small MP3, to give to someone, to send to someone. It's a lot smaller generally. So we'll do the add MP3 as well. And Soundscape demo, we'll call this final mix. And we will bounce. And here's the MP3 file information. You can put in all the artist album, but it's not really relevant right now. Okay, and it's going to bounce. So same thing, but 40 seconds, and the MP3 is, happening at the same time. So just slightly, maybe it takes 10 seconds more. Perfect. So that's it. So now, where is, hide ProTools. So where is that? The whole file is here. I have it under this in the hard drive here, and we have our sound workshops right here. We have the Soundscape Masterclass, Soundscape Demo, and that's our ProTools session, bounced files, and they're all right here. So let's have a look at what this means. So our multiple mono is a mono left, mono right, versus the final mix is just a wave, and then there's an MP3. Let's look at the sizes. So the multiple monos, the left, right, are exactly half of the interleaved, 27.8, 27.8, and the interleaved is combining the two, making it 55 megs. And the MP3 is only 10 megs. So you can see that's something you can even just email to someone. So let's say there's a gallery show, you finish the soundscape, you can email that to someone and have no issue, for them to be able to access it and open it and go that way. So now, if we want to hear it back, if I open up the left, it'll only play the left and the right will. So I'm going to just right click here, open with, I'm just going to do it in QuickTime so I don't end up with the iTunes opening. And so there's the Soundscape demo. And now I'm going to turn this computer's sound on, and we should be able to hear it. Perfect. So you can see it's all there, just how we mixed it. Really fast export. It doesn't take like 3 or 4 minutes to do. It used to take real time in Pro Tools. Now it's just a bounce is accelerated about 10 times the speed or more, depending on what kind of hardware. You could even go faster. Really, really fast. Great way to get the stereo wave out. That can then get sent to someone. You can bring that to somebody. You can edit with that. You can add it into a podcast. You can bring it for a gallery show. You can put it onto a website as background music. You can put it into a video to do a gallery presentation with a video. So that's how we can do the soundscape in basically three steps. We spent less than, about, let's say, 3 hours from figuring out our design, gathering the effects, doing the edit, sound mixing, doing a little bit of automation, mainly doing a lot of this track work, just balancing it out, listening it, finding the right kind of levels. And that's all it is really just getting those levels between the tracks. And that's why I wanted to show it that way, because the soundscape mixing isn't so much of a mixing every single element, because we're just kind of balancing out everything into layers and making sure it works. So it's kind of like a layered image. How much do you want of each element in a mosaic to create that total final soundscape piece in this case. So, and then the MP3, super small, that can be emailed, and then we go from there. So that's all it takes to do the soundscape. So again, you can rewatch this if you haven't had a chance to listen to it on headphones. That would be great to give it a listen. We will have this ready to replay, so you can listen to that whole playback, because we did play back the whole piece, and you can listen to that in the stereo and just see what we did and how we achieved it. So yeah, thanks again for joining us. It was a real pleasure to do this, something different. Send me an email, tom@tbmcs.ca, if you have any questions, if you want to share your soundscape with me. I'd love to hear what you're working on, what you're thinking about. If you have any specifics that, hey, I need a soundscape for this kind of an art project, I'd be happy to give you some advice, feedback, and share some of the knowledge in creating this. And again, just experiment. And if you think of the goal and the theme, it's really easy to achieve it. And I think that's the beauty of being able to do this. So thanks again for joining us. I want to thank all our partners in this project. So we have the Canada Council for the Arts, we have the Blue Mountains Public Library, Collingwood Public Library, and the Wasaga Beach Public Library. And really just check things out. It's like I say, there's always 100 ways to do the same thing. Find out what works well for you, and get into the habit of practicing, exploring, expanding that knowledge in this. And anything's possible. And it's software, and it's non-destructive. Everything still exists. The original sounds are always there. So you just experiment, enjoy, have fun, and design some soundscapes. And I look forward to hopefully hearing some of yours as well. And again, you can rewatch this. I encourage you to rewatch them. We have a sound editing and mixing workshop coming up in our next master classes coming up in the summer. So I also would love to see you guys in the next one. So sign up. Registration is now open for free, and more master classes to come. So please join us, and I will see you guys soon. Thanks. Have a good rest of the day. Take care.